Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. 31 Days of the Dead. Day 6. I'm your host, Precious D, and we are still doing our Halloween marathon. And with me today is my good friend, Racheal Mckinney. Welcome back to the show, Rachel.
Hi, it's good to be back.
We are discussing today Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, also known as Zon 100 Zombie ni Naru Made ni Shita 100 no Koto. Zom 100 100 things I want to do before becoming a zombie. It is based on a manga that was written by Haro Aso and illustrated by Kotaro Takada, and it has been turned into two different things on Netflix, both a anime series and a live action movie. We're mostly going to talk about the movie, but we did watch a little bit of the series just for comparison. Rachel, what did you think of Zom 100?
I thought it was a pretty fun movie. I haven't watched a lot of zombie movies, but I did watch the live action first, and I thought it was pretty entertaining and absurd, especially where I was watching the English dub because the lip syncing was pretty terrible, which kind of added to
Yeah.
like how bizarre it was.
I watched part of it in dub and part of it in subtitles. It kind of depended on what I was doing. Also, sometimes I just want to get a little bit of a idea of what the real actor sounds like. A lot of times they don't sound anything anything like the dub. Like their
No,
voice will be much
well,
deeper.
I watched it in dub because I was watching it with a friend, so
Hmm.
I wanted her to also enjoy the movie.
Well, when I'm taking notes for the show, it's easier for me if I'm watching dubbed. But
That makes
sometimes, yeah,
sense.
the performance seems better in the is better in the original most of the time. But what are you gonna do? Let me briefly mention some of the cast here. E.g. Akaso is Akira Tendo. Mai Shiraishi is Shizuka Mikazuki. Shuntaro Yangi is Kenshiro Ryuzaki. Kazuki Kitamura is Gonzo Kosugi. Mayo Kawasaki is president. I guess I'm president of the company. And Akira Hayami is Sumiri. And those are the only people that have names.
I guess so.
Uh, no, I'm saying there's other people listed, but it doesn't say what character they're playing. So, oh, yeah, that's for the live action. Um, Gonzo looked a lot different in the live action than he did in the anime. The boss.
Oh, well, I the first thing I noticed in the live action is like this man has some thick eyebrows.
Yeah.
I don't think they were as thick in the anime.
Well, in the anime, he was just much physically larger.
Oh,
You know, a big, broad shoulder and much taller than everybody else, and because he's a cartoon, so it's easy to make him that big.
yeah, same
Um,
with Kendo.
yeah. Now, one thing I know, I only watched the first episode of the cartoon. How many did you watch?
Well, I think I had it in the background, but I focused on the first one. I think I got to episode 4, but I was kind of in and out for the last 3.
Just there's just a couple of differences I noticed. Like he plays rugby. I am assuming that the anime is closer to the manga, so I'm assuming that these differences are the same in the manga. In the cartoon, he plays rugby. In the movie, he plays football, American football, gridiron football, whatever you want to call it. And in the anime, he's been working at this company for 3 years, and it's only been 1 year in the movie. So I think the idea that he's been suffering his job for so much longer made me sad. So we're not gonna go through the whole plot, but the basic thing is he's a what do you a salary man. He's working for this production company that does commercials and things, and he thinks it's gonna be a great job, and then it quickly turns out to be very exploitive and just never any time to himself, just constantly working with no thanks, and it's so bad that when the zombie apocalypse happens, his attitude is, "Thank God I don't have to go into work today," which I feel like a lot of people would have that reaction to the zombie apocalypse.
I think so. I can think of a few people who would react that way.
Yeah, I just found that, interesting statement that, zombies are better than capitalism.
Well, in a way, he was a zombie for his job.
Exactly, and we've seen this in a couple other movies that people are just living like zombies already, and it's not until the shit hits the fan that they up a society altering event for them to snap out of their dreary lives. So that's a shame. I only wrote 2 notes. I wrote zombie land shark and Don Quixote.
Oh, okay. You know what? I saw Don Quixote and I got so excited because actually, the friend I was watching that with, I got her a tote bag from Don Quixote. And I was like, look, that's where I got your tote bag from, where I went to Tokyo a few weeks ago. I was like, yay, a reference you can
Uh-huh.
get. I got your Godzilla keychain from there too, now that I think about it.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rachel sent got me a lovely Godzilla keychain where Godzilla's eating his own name.
Yeah, I got that from Don Quixote.
So, yeah, it just struck me. I'm like, "Wait, hold," and it's spelled with a J instead of an X. We tend to spell it with an X in English, but I was like, "Why is there a convenience store?" It's even and, well, an everything store called Don Quixote in Japan, and I got on the Wikipedia to make sure this was a real place. I assumed it was, but I looked it up and went down this rabbit hole reading about the whole history of the of the chain.
Oh,
But
it's
at one
huge.
part in the movie, they go there to try to, get some supplies. Well, yeah, they plan to go there, try and get some food to eat or something, and then they end up just take refuge in there from a zombie attack.
That didn't last for long.
No,
You
no.
know, as someone who really doesn't watch a whole lot of zombie movies, I recognize the trope of, oh, we're safe for now, but then,
Right.
uh-oh, someone's bitten and they try to hide it. And everyone knows
Yep,
what happens with that. Things get
yep.
hairy pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. So the bucket list part is um, for a while, he's just kinda trapped on his own, and then he decides he's gonna start living. He basically resigns himself to the idea that I will become a zombie at some point, and there's 100 I'm making a list of things I wanna do before I die. But in this case, before I specifically die and become a zombie. So, rather than just focusing on surviving, he wants to focus on living and enjoying what time he's got left, and I thought that was a great idea. But he meets up with, joins up with this he keeps running into this girl who is very focused on survival and kinda
Oh,
fuck everybody else.
yeah, she had the
What was
opposite mindset of, Shizuka
Yeah,
was her name. Yeah, she had the total
yeah,
opposite mindset of prioritizing, and I think just kind of looked down on him because he went to the store, like he risked his life to get sauce for his steak and to
yes,
get beer. And that she's like, wow, why
yeah,
would you do that for something so frivolous and non-essential? And I think when I watched the anime, it was kind of the same where she would prioritize needs and she went to the store and she's so disciplined and strict and she didn't even get herself any sweets, and then when she got home she's like, that would have really hit the spot if I got a sakura mochi. And he's just completely the opposite. He's like, I want to get some sauce, I want to get
yeah.
some beer and salt for my steak.
I've seen a similar dynamic in some other zombie movies, and it is usually a woman who's just focused on surviving, and the guy is thinks there must be more than just surviving. And by the end, the woman usually has come around. Yeah, the same kinda similar thing happens in, 28 Days Later and, and also in Zombieland. It's, similar in Zombieland, except there's more characters involved in Zombieland, but the 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 woman is just looking out for herself and her sister in the case of Zombieland, but eventually learns to give a shit about other people 'cause, yeah, what's the point of surviving if you can't have any fun?
I think that the similarity between Shizuka and Akira is they both found out that it's better to have someone else with you because he was having fun, but then, he was by himself, so it wasn't as fun as he quickly realized. And then Shizuka's like, oh, well, maybe
Yeah,
it would be better to have someone have my back because if Akira wasn't there, she would have already been a zombie.
yeah, yeah. And eventually he finds out that his best friend that he's had an argument with is still alive, so he goes to find him, and, the 3 of them end up going on a road trip together and doing the things on the list, which she eventually gets on board with. They do hang gliding. I don't know. Some of these things I'm not sure how they were able to do that. How did they arrange the hang gliding?
It kind of boggles the mind. And I kind of feel like they changed the focus of the story. He's like, oh, enjoyment, and then, oh, zombie survival. And they go back to the list after, I think, after the Don Quixote scene, they switch back into fun
Mm.
mode.
Yeah, but then they run into did they hear it on the radio? I can't remember how they ended up. He wanted to go to Ocean Land or whatever it was called. SeaWorld?
The aquarium. Well, so
Yes.
when he was at work, he was working on, I think, a promotion for that suit that was
Yes.
resistant to shark bites for the aquarium. And I
Yes.
think he was
Yeah.
thinking of going there to get it.
Yeah. He had decided well, part of on his list was be a superhero, become a superhero, and he knew that this shark-resistant suit existed at the aquarium and that would protect him from zombie bites. So he specifically wanted to go there to find it, but when he gets there, he finds his old boss is there and is still doing the same shit he did before, and that he's just making there's a whole bunch of people that have taken refuge there, and he's just making everybody work all the time and not have any fun, and he's exploiting them while he has nice things to eat and gets to relax, and he's just trying to go back he's trying to restructure things in this new world to be just like it was before, and, poor Akira is so traumatized that he falls back into his old pattern of just doing what the guy says. Because at that point,
Yeah,
he has decided that survival is important.
I think he's been conditioned to work that way because he worked so hard to get into the
Yeah.
company, and he did that for well, I guess just a year in the live action. Also, just to backtrack, I think that bus that before the Don Quixote scene, those people were going toward the aquarium because they heard that that was the new shelter to go to, and
Mm,
that where they had
okay.
fish as a food supply. So I think that's where those two kind of
Sure.
like coincided for them to end up at the
I
aquarium.
see. Yeah, I just found it really, tragic that people often will just fall when they've been abused by somebody, they get away from them, but then they get sucked back in, and it's not like he went back to this guy on purpose, but he just yeah, he'd been conditioned and traumatized, and even though he'd been free, now he's getting it back to the bad version of himself that was working at this company, but fortunately his friends are able to snap him out of it, and,
Yeah, with the list.
yes, with the list. So, it's, got a happy ending, unlike some zombie movies. There's some oof. I watched a rough one today, but I won't talk that till we get to that episode. And, the manga's got, like, 17 volumes. So
Oh,
he's going yeah, it's one of those things that's, like, published in a magazine with other things, and then they collect them into, the little paperback, what do they call them? It was serialized in the magazine Monthly Sunday Genie X? Not Gen X? Genie X? I don't know. And collected into 17 Takobon volumes, which, basically what we would call a trade paperback. You know what they are. You've seen them. those little manga paperbacks you get at the store.
I've seen I've seen a paperback book in my
It means independent or standalone book is what takopan means. That's just as opposed to an anthology magazine that's got parts of several different stories going on in it. So a lot of these things are published that way first and then collected on their own. Anyway, it's got so far from 2018 to June 2024, 17 volumes. So it sounds like it's still going.
Yeah, I hear the anime and manga is pretty popular.
Yeah. When they're making a second season of the anime. There was just when I was, Googling it, there was some of the search results were about season 2. So people wondering, I guess. But it sounds like they got plenty enough material for a second season. Did it seem to you like it was heading for a romance that then got sidetracked when the third guy came along? I mean, the second guy, third person?
Well, I was really hoping it wouldn't turn into a romance.
Okay.
I like the friendship thing better and
Uh-huh.
them as a trio.
Yeah. It just seemed like it kinda seemed like that's how he felt, but then, yeah, it just turned into 3 friends, but not into it did not at all seem to turn into a love triangle where the 2 guys are competing for her, because I think that would have been kind of annoying.
That would've and I think they have this dynamic where Akira is a little bit jealous of his friend because he's better with women, and
Right.
I guess to him more, like, muscular and attractive to them.
Yeah, I think that's part of why I thought it was going that way because Kenshiro doesn't have any problem getting chicks, and Akira does, and it looked like, "Oh, this is finally gonna be the person that Akira is able to talk to and able to maybe have a romance with," but then it just went in a different direction. So, there you go. Yeah, they sort of are having a double date with these stewardesses at one point, and then both of the stewardesses with what's his name? I just said his name. Kenshiro?
Kensho.
Kenichiro? Kenichi?
They
Kenichiro?
just call him Kensho as a
Ken
nickname in the movie.
Kento, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, I it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if they're gonna make a second live action one, but they might be making more anime. Do you have any idea why they would have changed it from rugby to football? Was that maybe just to appeal to the American audience because it was gonna be on Netflix or
I was gonna ask you the same thing because I saw that and I'm like, "What the hell?" Because every time I've been to Japan, I've never seen anything in the media or anywhere else about American football. I was like, "Why?" And, do they have football over there? I have never seen anyone
apparently
play
they do.
football over there. Oh, okay.
I looked it up. Yeah, because I was very confused, and I thought this was nonsense, but I looked it up, and apparently it is quite popular there. People do play it in high school. There is professional football, I believe. I don't know if they just watch American, the NFL, or if they have their own teams. I know baseball is popular in Japan. We all know baseball is popular in Japan. But apparently, they've been playing gridiron in Japan for quite a time, but maybe it's just not as big as baseball or probably even as big as soccer, but it does exist. So it wasn't completely ridiculous that they chip football. I have no idea. Have you ever seen people playing in Japan? Do you know how popular that is?
Which one?
Rugby.
You cut out, I'm sorry. Rugby? I feel like I've
Okay.
heard some mentions of it, but, I don't think it's as popular as baseball. Baseball is what I've seen the most over there.
Oh yeah, sure. But yeah, it's rugby in the manga and the anime. Part of it might have also that he could have football equipment. You don't wear helmets and pads and stuff like that in rugby, but that kind of equipment would be very handy when you're dealing with a zombie horde. So, that might have also been part of it because he puts all that stuff on when he goes to go rescue friend. I don't know.
Well,
I
I
don't know,
guess they needed
but
some
it may
kind
have
of reason sprinkled in there.
but I think it may have had something to do with even though they're both on Netflix, it might have had something to do with a lot of Americans are gonna watch this, so let's pick the sport that they like better. Who knows? Who knows? Call up the director and ask him. Well, we're rating things on a 1 to 5 brains scale this year, Rachel, so how many brains are you gonna rate Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead?
I'm gonna say I would do 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed the zombie shark scene
Yes.
at the
Yeah.
end. I can't believe we haven't talked about that.
Yeah, that is the only other note I wrote, zombie land shark. Um, have you ever heard of land shark?
No, but I've heard references.
There's an old Saturday Night Live sketch about, the land shark. It started originally as like a Jaws parody, but it's a land shark that just knocks on the door and asks to be let in. It's very stupid, but it was one of those things that turned into a running gag that would still get referenced years later. And since then, I you even see references outside of Saturday Night Live to a land shark. I've seen them in Dungeons and Dragons and just other random things. So at some point in the aquarium, this great white shark that they have gets zombified and it eats a bunch of people and sort of merges with them, and their legs come poking out of his underbelly so that he's able to walk around down the hallways and stuff looking for more people to eat, uh, which was both nonsense but completely awesome at the same time. So yeah, so you also enjoyed the land shark?
I did, and then, I think it's funny that they wanted the football equipment to make sense, but not the battery and shark suit taking the zombie shark out. I don't know the science behind that.
No, that was nonsense. Well, there is a thing about punching sharks in the nose to get them go away. I suppose you could shock them with a cattle prod kinda thing too, but yeah, that battery was not enough to take out anything. I did wanna mention his shark repellent suit or shark-proof suit, though they do make such things, but they're really basically chainmail, and the one in the movie was just like a Power Rangers outfit kinda thing, and I was like, That's not gonna protect him from a shark," but they wanted to look cool and be able to move around in easily, uh, and to have his whole point was he wanted to be a superhero, so it had little bit of a superhero look to it, but it's not at all what shark-proof suits look like. Well, I'm also gonna give it 4 stars. I really liked it. It was a lot of fun, and the anime's on Netflix too. So, if anybody out there ends up watching the whole series, send us a note. Tell us how it was. Let us know if they have a second season. Do you think they should have a second season? Any other thoughts before we wrap it up, Rachel?
Well, it was a fun, cheesy zombie movie, so it was everything I expected. It was a very fun watch.
Well, thanks so much for joining me, Rachel. Folks, please, if you enjoy the show, like and subscribe and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/mmftg. Until next time, I have been Precious D. With me has been Racheal Mckinney. Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements. Please don't misuse science. We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go.